got some blue. Bitches love blue.
Hi, my name is Adriana, and this is an oddly specific vlog. So around March time frame, I realized that a couple of the books I had pre-ordered / would be receiving were very similar in some interesting ways. To get to the nitty-gritty of it, the theme of this oddly specific vlog is all 3 books were published in 2023. All 3 books are mythology retellings, and all 3 books have a blue cover. So the 3 books I noticed in my life fitting into these categories coming out all around the same time was The Shadow of Perseus, Atalanta, and Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. But yeah, these are the 3 books I read for this vlog. I am recording this intro at the end of the vlog, so I have read these 3 books already. You can see my, well, I guess you can't really see it on this one because I put the tabs on top, but I have tabs. They're red. They're all 3, they're all red, except blue. I'm rambling. So anyway, this is a vlog. Normal vlog things. I read the books, I check in on them. Sometimes I have vlog clips, sometimes not. Past Adriana, take it away. Hello, I am starting off this vlog with The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood. I am so excited for this book. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. I am anticipating 5 stars. I am so excited. So I had previously read The Daughters of Sparta, also by Claire Haywood, and thought it was just fantastic. And I am not a huge Trojan War retelling girly. So when I saw that Claire Haywood was going to be doing a retelling of something not the Trojan War, I became very, very excited. I am really intrigued by what this story is going to be covering. I think it's going to be really great. I think it's also going to be really interesting to compare it and contrast it to not only the original source material, but another retelling I have read of this story. So the myth we are following here is Perseus slaying the Gorgon Medusa, and I believe it is told in 3 different perspectives. One from his mother Danae, one from Medusa herself, and then one from his bride Andromeda. I already know a lot about this story going into it, so I'm just really excited to see what this author does with the story, what we're gonna do with these characters. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what she decides to do. Outside of reading, today is Saturday, I think I'd mentioned, and my husband and I are just staying home this weekend, so there's a couple kind of errand things we need to do. I already worked out this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. But we want to hit up Lowe's and get a tomato plant. We need to go to the dump and get rid of some stuff that was in our garage. I don't know, I think those are like the only 2 things I super duper have on my list. I don't know, I might try to finagle a trip to the bookstore. We'll have to see. Oh hey, so I have made it to the 3rd mark and also to the end of part 1 in Shadow of Perseus. So this first third was all from the perspective of his mother Danae, and basically follows the structure of this myth, but I think a lot of really cool and important details have been adjusted or changed to really reframe how I've thought about these characters, having grown up, you know, reading about Greek mythology. I think the first probably important thing to note in this book is that this book is definitely, at least so far, is leaning much more historical fiction than fantasy. So the last retelling of this myth that I read was Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes, and that's definitely on the fantasy side. We have perspectives from the gods. Medusa is a Gorgon and has immortal Gorgon sisters and has wings and a tail and whatever else. This book, and also Claire Haywood's other book, Daughters of Sparta, is very much historical fiction. No gods. Obviously the gods are talked about in a religious sense. All the people worship the gods, make sacrifices to the gods, but nothing is fantastical. I think something else that I really like that this author has done has really reframed Danae's relationship with Polydectes. So in the original source material, Polydectes proposes marriage to Danae and she is pretty opposed and doesn't want to do it. And in this retelling, Polydectes is a lot kinder of a person, a lot kinder of a leader, of a king, seems like a generally good guy. And so Danae, I think, is mostly on board with getting with him, but Perseus is very much not on board with his mother marrying this man. And I am interested to see kind of where we go from here. So at the end of this part, Danae and Polydectes have kind of come to a general understanding. They're going to have Perseus join a merchant ship for a couple months to a year, kind of do some growing up, and then kind of see what happens when Perseus gets back. So I am, like I said, very intrigued to see how that all goes, how these changes are going to affect the later parts of this story. And I'm also really interested to see how this story portrays Medusa, because like I had said, this is feeling very much historical fiction and no fantastical elements. So it would be kind of weird to have this very grounded historical fiction story and then throw in like a gorgon with wings and a tail who can turn people to stone. So I'm really intrigued to see if the author decides to just throw in that fantastical element and just kind of like do whatever, or how the author is going to set up Medusa as a character to make it seem like as the story is being retold, it could be molded into that kind of traditional Perseus kills Medusa story. Okay, I just finished part 2, Medusa's part of The Shadow of Perseus, and wow. Just wow. Claire Haywood is a master of her craft. The way she can extrapolate backwards from the oral tradition of these stories and, like I said, backtrack them to what could have potentially been the real story. It just feels so real, but so, I guess it feels intuitive, but also like so creative, the story she's crafted, and I am just blown away. It's just so good. And like, this is only her second book. Daughters of Sparta was a 5-star for me already. This, I'm only halfway through. The rest of this could be the phone book for all I care, and it'll be a 5-star. I am blown away. Claire Haywood will be an auto-buy author from here till forever. I think I need to read one more of her books before I can really cement her as a favorite author. I don't know, man. After this one, I might just have to stick her up there. It's so good. What she was able to do with the character of Medusa, and in such a short part. I think this part was only like 50 pages, 45 pages, and she was able to, in that time, craft such a unique story for the character of Medusa. It's crazy. I don't even know what to say. I'm obviously lost for words. All of my critical thinking skills have just ejected from my body. If I finish this book and it is not a 5-star, I will eat my hat. Well, first, I'll go get a hat. But then, I will eat it. I'm gonna keep reading because I've read half of this book in basically a day, and I'm obsessed and need more. Okay, I just finished the third part of The Shadow of Perseus, the view from Andromeda. This part especially is where the author's changes has made the most impactful difference for me. I think the way she framed Andromeda's reason for being sacrificed out in the ocean, I think gave a lot of credence to the story, really fit the theme very well. I also really appreciated how the author portrayed Andromeda's culture as being so distinct and unique from greater Greek culture. I feel like in a lot of the Greek myth world, it's very easy to fall into the trap of Greeks just took over the entire Mediterranean, and that is not the case. There were thriving cultures in Egypt and Phoenicia and the East and Libya where Medusa was said to live, and each country, if you want to call it, each part of the world having multiple cultures within that geographical part of the world. I think the author has done a really good job of portraying portraying all of these different cultures in a way that's probably a lot more historically accurate. And I'm still just really, really impressed with the way the author is structuring this story in a way where if you are familiar with the mythological basis like I am, you can really see how we get from point A to point B being the myth, and how an oral tradition, especially with Victor's telling the history or Victor's creating history. I can't remember what that quote is now. History is written by winners, maybe? I don't know. But seeing how we get from this story to the myth that is well known is very easy to envision and see. And I am just so impressed with this book still. The last part of this book is once again from the POV of Danae, and I am just, coming full circle from starting with her to ending on her, I think is going to be really, really interesting, especially seeing if Danae does any sort of kind of looking into herself as to how she might have created the monster that Perseus became, her role in all of this mess. Of course, there's also a sense of like generational trauma. She was locked in a cell by her own father and ignored and neglected, and so she overcompensated with Perseus by being micromanaging and controlling in that aspect. So there's so much good stuff in this small book. Like, this is less than 300 pages and there is so much good stuff going on here. I am just blown away. But let's get back to reading because I only have this much left. Alright, I finished The Shadow of Perseus while I was at the gym, and all I have to say is just this is the perfect book for me. It is incredible. I am obsessed. I have no notes. She ate and left no crumbs. It's perfect. It's literally the perfect book for me. And I am so excited. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this was actually my pick for the Shelf This Book Club hosted by Is Bailey Reading, and we are doing the live show for it on Sunday. So I'm so excited to discuss it. I'm doing lots of research in some of my old textbooks and Pandora's Jar, trying to get a better feel for the story as a whole and the changes made and what they might mean. I am so excited about this book. And yeah, just 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever you want to call it. Loved it. Loved this book.
Look at it. Look how big it is.
Chip chip. Good morning. It's been a few days since I've checked in for this vlog, but I am ready to start my next blue book, my next blue mythology retelling book released in this year, and that is Song of Silver Flame Like Night. I really don't know anything about this besides it is a Chinese mythology retelling. I'm hoping I really, really love this because I didn't super duper love Daughter of the Moon Goddess, that Celestial Kingdom duology. So I'm hoping this can kind of help me get more into Chinese mythology, but I'm really looking forward to this. I might read a chapter or two this morning. I don't know. I don't know how long the chapters are. Oh my god, look at that map though. Oh, so pretty. Okay, so it looks like we have some like background chronology knowledge. Chapters are pretty long, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit one in this morning before we have to leave for work. But I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon, so I will be trying to start it there while I'm, waiting for the doctor and whatnot. But yeah, this is the Illumicrate edition. Very pretty, very exciting. Let's see what I think. Okay, so I'm not quite to a part in the book yet where I want to do a check-in, but I do kind of need to do a check-in for just my life, because you're going to get a lot of B-roll tomorrow, and it'd be nice for you to have some context. So my husband and I are planning on surprising our friend for his birthday. He lives in Indiana, and we are flying out tomorrow morning, and his boyfriend is gonna pick us up from the airport, and we're gonna surprise him. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a really good time. So we're traveling pretty much most of the day, Thursday, tomorrow. We'll get in like dinner time-ish into Indianapolis. Friday will just be I think going out, hanging out, doing whatever, Saturday, leaving late Sunday. It's gonna be a quick trip, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. I am so excited. I love surprising people, especially for like their birthday or like stuff like that. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. It should make for some fun B-roll too. Our friend just got a new little Australian Shepherd puppy and she's so cute. I can't wait to meet her. So yeah, it should be really, really fun. And I should be able to get a ton of reading done on the plane because it's a fairly long flight. It's like 4 or 5 hours, so should be a good time. And I will be vlogging along the way. Good morning. It is Friday. We made it to Indianapolis. Spent a lot of time last night staying up way too late, playing with the puppy and just catching up and having a good time. But on the plane, I did make it to, I guess, almost the halfway point. I'm on page like 200-ish, so I guess a little less than halfway. And I am enjoying it a lot so far. We got like magic school trope, which is one of my absolute favorites. I love a magic school, and I'm really vibing with our two main characters, Lan and Zen. They are surviving in this colonialist era. They were there when the Atlanteans took over, so they're kind of like European coded colonizers, and I'm enjoying the whole vibe right now. I think it's gonna be very good. I have very high hopes. I don't really quite know where the story is going from here because there doesn't seem to be any setup right now as far as kicking out the Atlanteans or installing a ruler that is Hin. But yeah, we'll have to see. She's just learning magic right now, and it's great. So outside of that, the plan today is to go get brunch here pretty quick, and then we're gonna have a fancy dinner tonight, and yeah, just hang out, vibe, play with the puppy. Looking forward to it. Did you pick Steven? Good morning. It is a struggle bus of a Monday. My husband and I ended up getting in around midnight last night. I'm not running on too many hours of sleep, but it was so worth it. It was so fun to be able to see Sam and Cole and their tiny little puppy and their house, and they're just doing so great, and I love them so much. I'm so happy we were able to visit. I did manage to get some reading done on the plane. I am almost about done with this book, and I'm like conflicted. I really love the story and I really love the characters, but the pacing is such a struggle for me. There seems to be so many breaks to just do huge exposition dumps, and it ruins a lot of these action scenes for me, because we'll be like right in the middle of an action scene and then a character will just start talking about something else. And I was like, we don't need that right now. We can do that later. So I'm really struggling with the pacing, and I think that's probably why I did not finish this book this weekend, even though I easily could have with the amount of time we spent on the plane. But it's just, I'm not being able to keep my attention with it quite as well, and it's also hurting my ability to really connect with the characters, because we get exposition in the middle of like relationship building moments. And so instead of being able to just kind of sit in that moment of these two characters like furthering their whatever relationship they have going on, we just get a huge exposition dump. This last part, is it doing better? I don't even know if it's doing that much better, but I only have like 50 pages left, so I definitely want to finish it today and kind of see how the ending goes. I mean, at this point, even if the ending is fantastic, I think I'm gonna have to give it a 3, just because the pacing is so difficult for me to maneuver. And I think this is really the first time I've really noticed pacing. It's just not usually something I pay attention to, so it's especially bad knowing that I am someone who typically does not care about pacing. Yeah, I think the plan is today to try to make it through a full day of work and then maybe go to the gym and do a treadmill walk for about an hour and try to finish this up. Okay, so I just got back from the gym and I did finish up Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, and I really enjoyed the ending. Like, I thought it wrapped up, well, not wrapped up, it set itself up well for the next book, and I guess wrapped up well for this book, but I still think I'm going to leave it at that 3-star range. I just couldn't really get over the pacing issue, and I hope for the next book either we don't need as much exposition because it's all been set up now, or the author gets a lot better at just kind of seamlessly flowing it in without disrupting the pacing of the story. But overall, I would recommend it if you're a fan of this genre of, you know, kind of the Chinese mythology retellings. I thought it was really well done. I really liked the plot and the story of it, and I do like the idea of the characters and what the characters could be if they are just allowed to just hang out and be characters and not have to be vessels of exposition. Like, I think there is some really neat characterization amongst our kind of, I guess it's not true POV characters, but the characters we feature the most and get to kind of hear their internal dialogue. A solid 3 out of 5. It's good. There's some issues. I will be reading the next one. That's where we're at. So I will see you again when I start the 3rd book of this vlog, when I get it eventually. So my husband and I got back from a weekend of celebrating our moms not too long ago, and this showed up on my front porch while we were out. So I am so excited for this last installment of this oddly specific vlog. This is been one of my most anticipated releases for this year since last year. Since I read the 2nd book that Jennifer Saint did and watched like some promotional interview stuff, and she said that this was the next thing coming out, and I am just so excited. So as you could guess from the title, this follows the story of Atalanta. I really haven't read too much into how much of her life we're going to follow. I don't know if we're starting from her childhood of being abandoned and raised by a bear. I don't know if we're mostly going to focus on her journey with the Argonauts. I'm just really excited. I think it's so cool to see a different type of Greek mythology really retelling out there. I think that is something, just feel like we get a lot of Hades or Persephone and Trojan War. So it's just fun to see something that is not either of those things. So definitely looking forward to it. We'll be starting it tonight, and I will check in when I have a chance. Good morning. So last night I made it through part 1 of Atalanta, and basically the first part is just women vibing in the woods, which I love. Jennifer Saint is so good at that. Basically that was the entire novel of Ariadne, vibing in the woods, having a good time. Unfortunately, that can't be the whole book because that is not the story of Atalanta, but at the end of the first part, she is approached by the goddess Artemis, who wants her to go on the Argonaut to go get the Golden Fleece. So I was correct in my assumption that this would be following Atalanta's journey with the Argonauts on the Argo. going to get the Golden Fleece. So the end of the first part ends with Atalanta meeting one of the Argonauts and setting forth to go meet the rest and try to talk her way onto this ship. So far, I have very high hopes. I love Jennifer Saint's writing style, especially when it comes to just women vibing in the woods. And I am very interested to see how she writes the Argonauts and just Atalanta's journey on the Argo, whether or not this is going to be a positive or negative experience for her, how Jennifer Saint does with writing so many male characters. Yeah, I'm excited. There's lots of question marks in the air with how I will enjoy the rest of this book. Unfortunately, it is Monday, so I do have to work. But I am working from home this week. I am participating in a training on aerospace standards, so I'm doing that from home. And yeah, that saves me, a half hour of commuting each day that I can dedicate to reading, hopefully. So I'm gonna get back to my training and then I will check in once I make it through the next part of the book. Okay, so my work from home training day did not exactly go how I expected. I thought I might be able to, sneak in some reading breaks here and there, but this training is intense and mind-numbing, and the software it's through is a disaster. It sent me back to like halfway of my progress twice, so I had to redo probably 100 questions and like 20 slides, and yeah, so basically did my work day of that, did not make as much progress as I hoped to. Worked out some aggression at the gym. I think now I am in a headspace to get some reading done. So I'm hoping to read a couple more chapters of this bad boy. My husband will get home very, very soon. He's gonna wanna clean the house and do a whole thing. It's been a day, and I'm hoping this book fixes my life. So I just finished part 2 and things are spicing up. Atalanta is starting to fit in with the crew a little bit more now. We've abandoned Hercules on an island. This wasn't my favorite part. I think I still preferred the first part to this one, just because I'd rather like the vibes of the first part better than the vibes of the second part, but we are building up to when the crew actually gets the fleece and Medea should be introduced into the story. I am very excited for that part, to see how all that goes down. So I am amped up, ready to go, but I need to work. So I'm gonna do that. So I came back from lunch and wasn't able to log back in to the program to finish my training because apparently there's updates being done. So I'm gonna read for an hour and hope I can log back in. If not, I don't really know what I'm gonna do. Cool. I love technology. Okay, I was able to log in and complete my training to the point I wanted to get it done today, and I met that point about a half hour before my workday was officially up. But instead of trying to get ahead, I've decided that I am done. I got myself a little drink and a little snack and a cuddle buddy. More cuddly. And I am going to read and decompress for a while because this training is just really taking it out of me. It's really hard and I am just not doing well. Good morning. I finished part 3 this morning and made it to part 4. We had a huge bombshell drop at the end of part 3 and I am just really intrigued to see where we go from here and how this story is resolved and what is happening. I really wish I could just read the last 50 pages of this book, but I have to finish up this stupid training. But hopefully I can do that today. Very excited about this book. This is very interesting. Part 3, I wish there had been a little more with Medea's character, just because she's another one of those female characters in Greek mythology that gets so vilified. But we'll see if she shows up again in part 4. It kind of seems like we're just kind of pushing her aside. Greek retelling authors out there, can someone please do one on Medea. I need her story. She has been a side character now in 2 of the books I've read. I'm ready for a full rundown of her character. But I will get back to you when I finish the book. You are looking at a fully certified lead auditor of AS 9100D. We did it, fam. Okay, I just finished Atalanta, and honestly, it did not finish up at all how I thought it was gonna go. But like, I'm kind of obsessed. Like, it's just got a very happy, pleasant ending that you don't come to expect from Greek mythology. And sometimes it's just not that serious. And you can have a happily ever after and it's fine. And I love that. I love this happily ever after. It's definitely not gonna be for everybody. It's just very sweet. And you know, like I said, sometimes it's just not that serious. You can just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Like, this is a very vibey book. There's not a lot of thoughts. Just step into the story and enjoy yourself. So like, that's very much how I feel about this book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to give it a 5, but like a different 5 than like Shadow of Perseus. Like, this is a vibey 5, and Shadow of Perseus was like an intellectual 5. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. But now I'm going to throw on some makeup so I can film the intro and outro to this vlog. I'll be back shortly. Filming an outro clip right after filming an intro clip is always a little trippy, but here we are at the end of the vlog. I did my makeup. I even tried to go for something interesting, like I don't normally do. What can I say about these 3 books? I definitely enjoyed reading all of them. These 2 were both 5 stars. This one was not quite a 5-star, but I am very excited for the sequel of this one, and I will definitely be picking it up. So overall, I would definitely recommend any of these if you have a specific interest. I would say Song of Silver, Flamelight Night probably has a more broad appeal than our Greek mythology retellings, but I enjoyed all of them. I had a very good time during this vlog. I tried my best to wear blue in most of the clips. That was not super successful, but hey, we had a theme, and we generally stuck to the theme, which I think is all that counts. So leave a comment down below with your favorite color, and if you have read any of these books, and what your thoughts on these books were. And thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.